Good afternoon, everybody. What is going on? I am jeffgrantMEDIA. In today's real user review, we're going to be taking a look at another offering from Apricoat. This time, we're going to be taking a look at their thermals collection. Now, while Apricoat did send me these thermals for free, I am not being paid or endorsed in any way, shape, or form to say anything positive or negative about this product. All of the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone. I did not share the contents of this video with Apricoat prior to publication. They will see this when you do. You think by this point I would have that down pat, but I really have to think about that every single time. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and do a quick unboxing. Okay, boom. 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 And boom, we have the thermal unisex gloves. Best choice for shielding your hands with warmth. Fits perfectly for unisex, anti-slip, and light and comfortable for all outdoor occasions. They feel nice. They actually feel thicker than I expected. And they do have grippy palms. They do not appear to have tech fingers. Nope, no tech fingers. The socks. Humidity regulator for day-long comfort and maximum warmth. There's your branding, Apricoat, with the blue padding. But I think these are probably going to be more of a hiking sock for me, but I'm going to test the whole kit out as a running kit. But I do generally, in the winter, I run with compression socks. And they just help me. I don't get shin splints as bad. And in the summer, I usually just run with like a low-cut athletic sock. Now this is going, ooh, that feels nice. Feels nice. Now this might be a little big on me, but maybe not, because I'm still a little out of shape. I haven't been running nearly as much as I should. And now we have the leggings, which match the top. They do have the same heathered that the top has on the sleeves, so they do match. So it's a matching set. We do have our Apricoat branding around the waist. And these feel good. They do feel a good stretch. The one thing that I don't like about leggings is, I mean, they're leggings. They're tight. They're meant to be tight and snug, but trying to get those things off when they're super, super sweaty because they don't have a lot of stretch. It's hard sometimes. I get stuck inside those leggings, but these feel like they have a good stretch to them. So I think when I'm hot and sweaty after a good run, I'm actually going to be able to get these off. So how have I actually been using these thermals myself? I've been using them in the morning for running. It's mid-April, so our mornings can be anywhere from, I think it was, what, 25, 26 degrees this morning to mid-40s, but usually it's like in the mid-30s to like mid to low 40s. Early morning runs are still cold, and I hate running in the cold, so I generally wear running tights in the morning. So my general setup prior to getting the Apricoat was I wear running tights, a long sleeve technical running shirt, and then I will either wear a very heavy bulky Carhartt sweatshirt that does the job, keeps me pretty warm, and I'll wear a skull cap, or I will wear a long sleeve running technical shirt and wear a windbreaker, a running windbreaker. I hate running in the cold, but I also hate running with that big heavy sweatshirt. It's great. I love the sweatshirt. I will wear it just about any other time. But running with a big, heavy, bulky sweatshirt, I feel the weight pulling down on me. It's bulky. I can feel the loss of movement in there, and I feel the weight pulling down on me. And when you're putting in the miles, you don't want to have all of that heavy stuff on you. So I hate running in the heavy sweatshirt, although it does keep me really warm. But with the thermal shirt, that really helps to solve my problem. So when Apricoat asked me if I want to take a look at the thermals, I said yes. Now these aren't running specific thermals, but they are for being active in. So we're gonna start with the negatives, and really I have one negative, and it's with the pants. They're very, very stretchy. So when I run and when it's really cold, I really like compression. So when I run in running tights, they're compression sleeves, so they keep my calves and my shins, everything where they should be, and it helps prevent from getting me, at least, from getting shin splints in the cold weather. I don't have that big of an issue in the warmer months. I will wear like compression socks or compression sleeves on my calves in the summer if I'm doing some hard long miles, if I'm doing marathon training. But in the winter, even if I'm doing like like 3 to 6 miles. It's generally my morning run is like 3 to 6 miles. I still like to have that compression because it does help prevent me from getting shin splints and keep everything in place. And these are very stretchy. They do not do any compression at all. So if you are looking for running specific tights, you're gonna have to get something else, because these are, while they do work well to keep me warm, they do not work as compression. So you are either going to have to combine a compression sock or compression sleeve under these, or get a set of running tights. And honestly, that's the only negative that I had altogether. The rest are mostly neutral points. And we're gonna go ahead back while we're talking about the pants, and that's gonna be with the pants. Now these pants, these are size medium. I am 5'9" with roughly a 31-inch inseam, and there is a lot of leg here. So when I wear them, they do tend to bunch up quite a bit. And what I do is I kind of pull the bunch up to my thigh. I hate when you're putting, especially compression, running tights out of compression, they're very hard, they're very tight, they're very hard to get on. So you usually end up all your slack is on the bottom, and you got to really work it all the way up. Otherwise, you know, when you're running, you kind of, your crotch is down between your knees, and it's not comfortable. So what I've been doing is hiking all of the excess slack all the way up into the thigh area, and then as gravity kind of pulls it down, I still have a full range of motion. I don't have the crotch in my knees. I can still move. I can pick up my legs as high as I need to, and gravity kind of pulls it down and gives me enough slack where I need it. Now, we'll get into why that's a neutral and not a negative in a little bit, but the other neutral point is these gloves. As you can see, these still look brand new. Actually, they all still look great. They've washed really, really well, but the gloves still look brand new. That's because I only wore them like one time because they were just too warm. I actually took them off halfway, probably like 3/4 of the way through my run, and ended up carrying them. So I never actually washed them, and no, they don't smell. They don't actually smell, so that's good. So they are all wicking. They're all made from recycled polyester and have wicking material. So they did do a good job at wicking the sweat away. So they don't smell, but they're actually a little bit too warm. I don't know why. My fingers always start out ice cold, but after like a mile, my hands just get super, super hot. So I ended up taking these off, and I didn't wear these again running because I needed my thinner running gloves that, again, I start off freezing in them, and after about a mile, they're great. They're perfectly fine. I end up just being comfortable in these like thin, like woven touch screen gloves. They're supposed to work with my phone. They don't, but I didn't get them for that anyway. But I did only really wear these that one time, and I just found them to be too warm for me. Now, if your hands, your extremities run cold, these are probably going to be great for you. What I'm going to actually do is toss these in my hiking backpack and leave them in there. I'll probably just leave them in there year round, but these are just going to go in my hiking bag. These are going to be great, absolutely great for hiking, because we hike some of the state parks, or at least around here, there's big lakes, so you get a lot of breeze off the lake. You're not moving quite as fast as when you're running. Lots of stopping with the dog, with my daughter, so my hands do get colder while I'm hiking. So these will be great hiking gloves, but as running gloves, I personally found them to be a little bit too warm for my needs. That's why it's a neutral point, because I don't think it's going to be, I think that might be a positive for a lot of people, but for me, they were just a little bit too warm for me. So I only wore them one time, and I don't have the socks to show you because I actually just wore them yesterday. They're in the hamper. The socks are great. I generally personally prefer to run in like a shorter, like anklet sock, unless I need the high compression socks. But when I'm generally running with like running tights, I will wear like an anklet, but I did wear them running. They were good. They were a little thicker than normal. My running shoes are regular. I think I have a pair of Nike Downshifter 9s or 11s or 15s, whatever, like one of the higher numbers that they're at now. They did feel pretty good with the Apricoat socks. They felt very comfortable, but I actually wore them. It was a sloppy, rainy day yesterday, and it was pretty cold, so I had my rain boots on, and they work great for my rain boots because my right rain boot rubs me wrong, gives me a blister just about every time I walk more than around the backyard with them. So I wore them, and they actually worked out phenomenal in my rain boots because it was chilly. They're just boots. There's no insulation in them. There's rain boots, so they actually kept my feet nice and warm. It was again, pretty cold, rainy, windy, and they kept me from getting blisters. So they work really good for running, and they work really good for wearing rain boots that give you hot spots. And honestly, I don't think I have any neutral points on the shirt. The shirt fit fine. The price point is really good at 30 bucks. I found this to be, now this is a size large, and that's because they were out of stock in medium at the time, so I took the large, and it fits really, really well. I didn't find this to be that bulky. It kept me nice and warm, and I washed this a couple times now, and it looks pretty good. It's all wrinkly because I kind of bunched it up and threw it in my drawer with all my running clothes. I don't generally fold my running clothes because, I mean, they're about to get punished, so I don't generally take care of them. I usually fold and straighten out my running clothes drawer, and then I'm grabbing in there at like 4:35 a.m. and stuff just gets a mess. So honestly, I kind of just crumple up in a ball and stick it in there until it all fits. And generally what I need to wear is right on top, or it never actually gets off the top of the dryer because I end up just using it, especially now with thermals. Like every 2 days I'm doing laundry, so I'm cycling between the set of the Apricoat thermals and then my old running setup with my old running tights, because if these are dirty, I gotta wear the other tights, and vice versa. If the other tights are dirty, I gotta wear these. So I generally do my running clothes like every 2 days in the winter because I have less winter running gear than I do summer. But they were all washed really well. This worked out great. I was able to wear this with a long sleeve or short sleeve running shirt, and then on the colder days I did throw the windbreaker on, and I will say I probably wasn't quite as warm as I was with the Carhartt, but usually when I'm wearing the Carhartt I will start with the hood up, so keeping all the heat from escaping through my head I think kept my body warmer, but I wasn't cold by any means. I was actually quite comfortable with just the thermal shirt and the windbreaker in the colder temperatures. So this actually worked out really, really well for me. And I wore this probably, it's probably been in like the mid to low 30s. So like probably around like 31-ish to 35, 36 degrees I've been wearing this. It's about what it's been the past week or so. And then the other way I was saying that these were gonna be a positive is that even though I've washed these, they did shrink a little bit up in the length. That I was talking about the extra slack being a potential positive, and that's because every time I get thermals, you wash them and then all of a sudden they're like high waters, and you got like, you know, 2, 3, 4 inches of ankle showing, and your ankles are freezing because your thermals aren't long enough. But because I have all of this extra, it's not even the slack, like they do stretch out, but there's just so much extra length in the pants that even after I wash them and they shrank up a little bit, I still have enough length to completely cover my leg. And my old go-to thermals were Duofold. I used to work at Kiefer's Army Navy, and prior to Kiefer's I worked at a store called Quint's Army Navy that was run by the same family, but they closed the Quint's one. I worked at the Kiefer's one. I digress. I sold Duofold. So I mean, I sold it, so I would buy that because I snowboarded in the winter, and they were great, kept me super warm. But and they're expensive too. I mean, even back then they were like $24 a set, or $24 for a top, $24 for a bottom. So you're spending like 25 bucks. So now, I mean, with inflation, that was 10, 12 years ago or more. That's probably be like a $40, $50 shirt, $40, $50 bottom. So I mean, that's gonna be comparable to the $30. These are on sale for $30, so they're probably comparable in price. But every time you wash those thermals, the shirts, I'd end up with sleeves like this. The pants, I'd have 2 inches of ankles showing, and even if I bought the size large, I'd still end up with my ankles popping out, or the sleeves would probably fit better in a large, but like they would always end up being too short. Even expensive, well-made thermals would end up being too warm, and that has not been the problem for these Apricoats. I kept enough length. They did shrink up a little bit, but they had enough length that they still fit very well, still covered my whole leg, and they feel comfortable because they have a good stretch. One thing that I don't like, we're gonna get real here, with running tights is chafing. You gotta use nut butter. You gotta use nut butter when you wear tights, because it happens. If you're not a runner, you don't understand it, throw on a pair of running tights, go run yourself a 5K, you might be okay. Throw on a pair of running tights, go run yourself 6 or more miles, you're gonna wish that you put on a little bit of nut butter. And I am in the habit, I do it all the time when I put on tights, not so much shorts. The shorts don't seem to bother me unless I'm doing marathon training, when you're doing, if I'm doing double digits plus, if I'm doing 10 to 20 miles, always wear nut butter. Anything under 10, I generally won't, at least in shorts. And I did intentionally forego the nut butter on a 3.6 mile run with the Apricoats, and I was fine. I was actually completely fine with them. Would I do that every time? No, I would not do that every time, but I did risk the chafing just to test them out, and I didn't chafe, so that was also a positive, that I didn't get any chafing. But they do have some good stretch, and they felt good against the skin and against the soft and gentle nether regions of your body. Would I recommend that you do any sort of intensive physical activity, not wearing any underwear in your thermals without any nut butter? Absolutely not. Get yourself some on Amazon, apply it. You will thank me later when you are not screaming, crying, and walking like a bow-legged cowboy for a week while you heal up. But I did risk all, and I'm happy to report that they came back just fine. So all in all, I mean, I have the gloves, I have the thermals, and I have the socks that are upstairs in the hamper. Gotta get washed. I like them. I'm very pleasantly surprised with them. I'm always hesitant when I'm putting on some sort of thermals or leggings when I'm running, but they actually worked out really well for me. They're very comfortable. They felt good on the skin. They felt good on the parts of the skin that you want to make sure your undergarments feel good on. They stretched, they washed well, they wore well. The gloves were a little too warm for me for what I tried to use them for, but I will continue to use these. They're just going right in my hiking pack as soon as we wrap this up, because I don't want to lose these, because these are very comfortable and I had a good grip. And again, even though I ran probably 2.5 miles in these, they don't smell at all. I was sweating, probably not profusely. I was one of the early days when it was a little colder, but I was sweating, and they don't smell at all. They're all like a polyester, 100% recycled polyester, and they all do wicking. And even, I've only got maybe 2 weeks of testing in on these, but for something that you're wearing close to the body, abusing, 2 weeks is a good test period. But I have found that a lot of my running apparel, even with a very short period of time, they just have a stench to it. You can buy detergents, they're really expensive. And honestly, I haven't found that they actually work if you buy the running specific detergents that help get the sweat smell out. They work to an extent, but I have my favorite shirts that I wear. They're very comfortable. I know I can run long distances in these shirts without getting chafing in certain areas, and I'm fine. But because I wear those certain shirts, sometimes they carry a smell, and even those detergents can't get the smell out. But there are other shirts, I'll wear them one time, and they are for the rest of eternity. They're just gonna stink. And I've worn these quite a bit. There's absolutely no stinky, sweaty smell to them. That's also a huge positive for running clothes, that they don't hold a stink. So all in all, would I recommend that you pick up the Apricoat thermals for your next physical activity, or just to keep yourself warm? Yeah, honestly, I would. I mean, they're $30 right now a piece. That's a pretty good bargain for thermals. I mean, that's a pretty good bargain for just about any decent thermal right now. Again, I used to wear those dual folds, which I guarantee I haven't checked the price on in a while. They're probably $40, $50 for a shirt, $40, $50 for a pair of pants. So these are, I would say, comparable, and for at least for the active wear, much better. And those dual folds that I wore forever, they were wicking, but even then, when they were new and brand new, and I have some that aren't that old. I have been buying them all over the years because I've learned that I like them and I trusted them. But I will say that the wicking definitely worked a lot better in these Apricoats than the two in the dual folds. These are meant for active wear, and they worked really well. I'm very pleasantly surprised with how well they worked. And again, the pants, they were a little bit long, So that's a neutral point because there's a little bit bulk in them, but they're a little bit long, so it's a positive point. So once you wash them, they still fit. So all in all, yeah, I would say if you're looking at them, grab them. I was very, very pleasantly surprised when I got the Apricoat Adventure 2.0. The jacket was great. I still keep using that. I've actually been wearing that on my scooter in some of these colder mornings to help cut the wind, and I'm very pleasantly surprised with my thermals. So if you were thinking about grabbing some, I'd say, yeah, go ahead and buy them. I'm very, very impressed with Apricoat. They're very surprising. I'm glad that they popped up in my news feed on Facebook and Instagram, and that I reached out to them because I hadn't heard them before, and now this is the second offering I've had, and I'm impressed. They're doing a very good job at a very reasonable price. The materials all feel great. They're all recycled materials, so that's awesome because they're keeping stuff out of the landfills and keeping it in use. So I mean, I'd rather have a pair of gloves and some thermals and a jacket and a pair of socks that are all made from recycled materials than something that was made new, because it's great. It's helping the ecosystem, because we all have to live in this floating blue rock, so we might as well try to take care of it. And Apricoat's doing their part, so they're making good products, and they're also helping to recycle. So if you're looking at thus far, I could say grab the Apricoat Adventure 2.0 or grab the Apricoat Thermals, because I'm very pleasantly surprised and very happy with the performance of all of my Apricoat products so far. So if you like this video and my other videos, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Smash that big red button and ring that bell right next to it so you get notifications next time I post a brand new video. Good night.